Land clearing and changes to fire regimes pose one of the greatest threats to declines in mammal populations. Brushtail possums are reliant upon forests, therefore they're sensitive to pressures brought about by changes in habitat. Previous researchers found that high-intensity fires destroy up to 38% of suitable nesting sites and available food resources for brushtail possums. Therefore, this sees a decline in brushtail possums' relative abundance in relation to fire frequency. This study aimed to survey the relative abundance of brushtail possums in Helidon Hills, Queensland, by using cage trapping and camera trapping and measuring their distribution in relation to logging intensity and fire frequency. This study took place in the Helidon Hills region of the Lockyer Valley, 106 kilometres west of Brisbane. It's an area of high conservation significance as it's one of the largest areas of continuous eucalypt bushlands in southeast Queensland. Data was sampled across 5 sites within this location. Table 1 here shows logging intensity and fire frequency of all 5 sites. 2 methods were used to collect data, cage trapping and camera trapping. For cage trapping, 8 wire cages were used. All were baited with jam sandwiches. There was a sampling period of 3 consecutive nights. Traps were checked daily, and each individual court was processed, marked with an individual ear knot. For camera trapping, 6 camera traps were set up at each site, 1 week to 1 day before cage trapping, depending on the site. Camera trapping and cage trapping were conducted simultaneously to hopefully capture the same individuals under the same conditions. Camera traps were baited with a lure. An event was defined as the sighting of a single individual. If there was more than a gap of 5 minutes between the camera triggering, this was considered a single event. Table 2 here shows the standardised number of brushtail possums to 100 trap nights. Data had to be standardised due to the inconsistencies in camera trapping. Just by looking at the data here, you can see that Helidon had the highest number of possums caught. It also had both low logging intensity and fire frequency. You can also see that Ergon East had the lowest amount of brushtail possums caught, and it both had high logging intensity and high fire frequency. The results show that cage trapping showed no significant relationship between fire frequency and relative abundance. Camera trapping also showed no significant relationship between logging intensity and relative abundance. But it did show a significant relationship between fire frequency and relative abundance with a p-value of 0.001. It also showed a significant relationship between the areas that had the same fire frequency and the same logging intensity with a p-value of 0.012. Therefore, we can conclude that camera trapping presented a relationship between fire frequency and relative abundance. This is supported by previous literature as it suggests that fire destroys suitable nesting sites, therefore you see a decline in possum numbers. We can also conclude that camera trapping showed a significant relationship between areas that had the same logging intensity and the same fire frequency. This is also supported by previous literature as it suggests you're more likely to see declines in numbers in areas that have interacting factors.